So have you ever found yourself in an unexpected yet beautiful moment? A moment when all of a sudden you find yourself face to face with an amazing opportunity that you never prepared for. I remember the first time this happened to me. I was just 14 years old, and I was at the Emerging Sound Christian Songwriting Camp in Austin, Texas. There were all kinds of Christian songwriters at this camp, including Daigle. You might be familiar with some of her music, including the songs You Say, How Can It Be, and First. Well, anyway, one day at the camp, I was just sitting outside working on a song when all of a sudden, Daigle approached me. She said, "Hi, my name is Lauren. What's your name?" I was shell-shocked there for a moment because it took me a couple seconds to realize what was actually happening. Daigle, one of my favorite Christian artists, wanted to talk to me. I responded, "Charles, my name is Charles." And she proceeded to ask me how I was doing. I was so surprised. Someone as talented and famous as Daigle cared about little old Charles Graves. She listened intently to me as if I was the most important person in that moment. And I could tell she really cared. It was one of those defining and surprising moments for me where I truly felt seen and noticed. Well, there's a story in the Bible that speaks to a similar moment where someone a lot more famous than Daigle notices a little old man up in a sycamore tree, calls him out by name, and embarrasses him in front of a whole crowd of people in the best way possible. So let's look at that story together. Let's open our Bibles to Luke chapter 19, verses 1 through 10. Luke chapter 19, verses 1 through 10. We're going to read all those verses together. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All of the people saw this and began to mutter, "He's going to be the guest of a sinner." But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I've cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount." Jesus said to him, "Today, salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." There are a couple of things I would like for us to note about this passage. Firstly, Zacchaeus was a tax collector. He worked for the Roman government, which idolized Caesar as Lord. Ever notice when reading the New Testament how often sinners and tax collectors are mentioned in the same exact sentence? That's because tax collectors were considered the worst of the worst, the bottom of the barrel kind of people, extortioners who charged more than what Rome required in order to make a profit, because Rome didn't pay the tax collectors directly. As long as Rome got their cut, the government turned a blind eye to how much extra the managers squeezed from the people. So it was a corrupt occupation and a corrupt system. And Zach, we're going to call him Zach here for short, no pun intended. Well, Zach here was one of the wealthiest of the tax collectors, a chief tax collector, which means he was a high-ranking regional manager. He was the head honcho, overseeing all the tax collectors in Jericho. And as a manager, he took the largest cut and made the greatest profit. Not to mention, he had the backing of the Roman military force. So, here's the thing. Jesus knew all of this. He knew what kind of person Zacchaeus was. He knew what he did for a living, yet he wasn't worried about what others might think of him for eating with tax collectors and sinners. He didn't care about how it made him look, because he came to seek and to save the lost. Now, when Jesus sets out to do something, nothing, including someone's social standing, economic status, occupation, religion, or race, gets in the way. He is very stubborn about seeking us out and saving us. He goes the extra mile to meet us right where we are. He doesn't hesitate for even a second. Zach here had no time to prepare. He was completely caught off guard. He heard a lot about this Jesus, and he thought, he's a pretty interesting guy. Heard great things about him. And he was just doing his best, doing his very best to get a glimpse as much as he could. But little did he know that that same Jesus would call him out by name in front of a large crowd of people and say, I must stay at your house today. Now, the crowd didn't really like that at all. Zacchaeus was no innocent man. Funnily enough, his name literally means pure or innocent. So that probably didn't help much with his reputation either. He cheated a lot of people. He took more than what was his to take. Pretty much the exact opposite of being pure. Now imagine this moment. You're an outsider, completely excluded, a sinner. Oh wait, you don't have to imagine. We don't have to imagine. We've all sinned and fall short of the glory of God. None of us have all of our ducks in a row. We've all cut corners. We've all missed the mark. We're all here trying our best just to make it to church on time, to pray, to live the best life we possibly can, to love our families well and provide, hoping to just get a glimpse of this Jesus. In all of our best efforts and our greatest failures, in all of our striving and our trying to be a better person, in all of our weaknesses, God's power is made perfect. His grace is sufficient. And it's really such good news because Jesus came to seek and to save the lost. There's a song by the Christian group Selah titled, I Got Saved. And one of the lines in the song is, the love of God pulls me up higher. His will is stronger. That's why I got saved. As stubborn as humans can be, God's will is still so much stronger. Think about Paul. His will was to persecute Christians and to destroy the church. Well, Jesus' will was for him to become an apostle to the Gentiles. Whose will was stronger? Who won? Jesus won. And that's the reason we ought to trust in him for salvation. He really can save stubborn old people like us. Jesus has gone to be the guest of a sinner. That's us. That's you. That's me. Jesus meeting us just as we are, right where we are, with no strings attached. Notice what Jesus says. Salvation has come to this house because this man too is a son of Abraham. This is a pretty bold and profound statement because Jesus acknowledges Zacchaeus as part of the family of God. It's like Jesus is saying, look, this guy that you all think is the worst of the worst, Mr. Innocent, guess what? He's part of the family too. He's part of the family of God too. Now, if there's hope for Zacchaeus, then there's hope for all of us. I love the word too here. This man too is a son of Abraham. We too are included. God has gone out of his way to seek and to save us. Some of us have spent our whole lives doing our best to seek God. It's very admirable. It's definitely a good thing. Zacchaeus did a bit of seeking here too. Climbed up that sycamore tree, wanted to get a glimpse of Jesus. But it wasn't his own seeking that saved him. It was Jesus's. That's why Jesus said he came. He came to seek and to save the lost. He called him out of the sycamore tree. And let me tell you something. That's very good news for us. It's great news for us because there are a lot of times we don't do a great job at seeking God. We miss the mark. We fall short. We sin a whole lot. Yet Jesus still says, I must stay at your house today. The key word in that verse is must. Jesus isn't messing around. He's not saying, I might come to stay at your house today if you let me. No, he said, ready or not, here I come. We don't get to decide if he comes or not. Today is the day of salvation, 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 2. Jesus is calling you out by name. And it's not about how prepared you are. It's not about how polished you are. It's not about how religious you think you are. All that matters is that you trust in Jesus. Do you believe that he is enough? Do you really believe that he is the Savior of the world, and that includes you? Do you trust in his saving grace? Well, then that's enough. His grace is enough. His grace is enough. So last February, I had the wonderful opportunity to visit my wife Um's family in Thailand for the first time. I'd never been to Thailand before, so everything was brand new for me. It was like stepping into a completely different reality. I was like super nervous and afraid. All I knew is that told me her family loved me. But I only knew her family over a distance, like FaceTime calls. But meeting them in person, face to face, was going to be a totally new experience I wasn't sure I was ready for. Firstly, I didn't speak their language. I hadn't experienced the culture firsthand, except for the culture I knew from and make sure to take your shoes off when you come into the house. That's our culture at our house. It wasn't my culture before I met but yeah, now it is. And I wasn't too sure I'd be able to handle all the spicy foods, although had been also helping me prepare for that a little bit at a time. Thank you for that. Well, let me tell you something. All of those worries and fears fell to the wayside the moment I first laid eyes on my beautiful new family. Before I even had the chance to talk, 2 of my nephews came running up to me, giving me the absolute biggest hug in the world. And even my baby nephew, just a year old, practically jumped in my arms. First time. Not to mention, they literally fell asleep on my chest just an hour after me meeting them on our car ride back to Um's home. It was as if I immediately felt right at home. It was as if I had always been part of the family. Yet something changed in me the very moment I experienced that kind of love. I felt a love in my heart I had never felt in my life. It's as if I got a glimpse of God's love and saving grace in a new way. I felt there for a moment what it was like to go from not knowing my place in the family to seeing that I was loved and accepted just like everyone else. And I can't help but think that Zacchaeus felt the same way when Jesus called him out by name. Zacchaeus went from being an outsider to an insider, despised and rejected, to wanted and accepted. He could no longer hide, because when Jesus sets out to seek and to save, nothing including one's greatest weaknesses and failures, stops God's love from breaking through. Rather, God, like a masterful artist, makes something beautiful out of the mess of our lives. Out of the ashes, new life is born. Out of the chaos, life is being found. And He is in the business of making all things new, of turning sinners into saints, of seeking and saving the lost. That's us. That's you and me. And Jesus is really great at meeting us right where we are, just as we are, with no strings attached. And we can't escape or outrun His love, as the psalmist says, and as we said together in our liturgy this morning, surely goodness and mercy will follow us or pursue us or chase us down all the days of our lives. And we too, along with Zacchaeus, will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.